Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Steph. Appreciate it. Thank you, Steph, for that nice introduction, and thank you for WeWork for hosting me on this first talk. It's really a beautiful day, and what a great audience we have today. Now, CEO confidence has collapsed to levels last seen during COVID-19. 80% of global leaders face tremendous pressure to guarantee any type of positive growth in the 12 months ahead. And the average lifespan of an S&P company has dropped from 61 years down to 18, and it's projected to be 12 years by 2028. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the world that we're currently living in. It is speeding up, it's getting more uncertain by the day. If you're sitting in the audience hoping to get answers, you are absolutely guaranteed in the wrong place. The world that we're living in is not a world of clear and definite answers. There's ambiguity, there's uncertainty, and there is a lot of rapid change. And it's only accelerating. So no, I don't have the answers, so don't expect the answers from me. However, I have something better for you, a way, a system, an approach for you to navigate this uncertainty and change with more certainty, success, and calm than you thought possible. Now, I have a very intimate relationship with not having the answers. The day before the South African lockdown started, my 10-year-old son and I moved out of the house into a brand new house. I'm freshly divorced. I'm a single father. And as a professional speaker, all my keynotes got cancelled. No income. And that's not the worst. In South Africa, only 4% of fathers get primary care of their kids when they divorce. And his mom works irregular hours in catering. Okay? And I wanted more stability for him. Thus, I focused a lot on making sure that I raise him one day. And thus, I didn't pay attention to my business. When we moved, I had one customer left. Their last payment to me gave us enough money to move. By month end, I almost had nothing left. Lockdown. All my speaking gigs cancelled. Financial pressure. Business collapse. All in one. There are no answers to that. There's no clear playbook to play through that. Nothing is going to work into that situation. I couldn't plan my way out of it. And I think a similar situation is waiting for you. If I look at the rapid pace at which artificial intelligence, automation is developing, as well as the changing global economic environment, this might be your future soon. But I had a goal. I wanted to get out of debt, have 5 months cash in the bank, and I want to do it in 2 years. I did it in 6 months. Not because I worked harder, and please don't get me wrong, I did work exceptionally hard. Not because the economy changed, not because things became stable and predictable, purely because I started asking better questions. Instead of asking, when will things go back to normal, I started asking, considering the situation that we face now, what can I build today? And that's the shift from waiting for certainty to making decisions and moving forward despite uncertainty. And that is adaptive leadership in action, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what I'm sharing with you today. But first, let me show you how deep this disruption model can go. So imagine you're a CEO, you've got experience, you've navigated recessions, survived market crashes. I mean, you know how to handle disruption and change. Yet, according to KPMG's Global CEO Outlook, which surveyed about 1,350 CEOs in 11 countries, Your confidence level is currently at the same as we had during lockdowns. Let me put that in perspective. We're 5 years from the lockdowns, and the confidence in the global economy is at the same level as the days when we spent at home and the world economy came to a standstill. And this is not from a pandemic, and this is not one crazy event, but because the ground that we are standing on is consistently shifting. As I said, 80% of them are under tremendous pressure to guaranteed long-term growth. They're not scared of something specific. They're just exhausted by relentless change. Now in 58, if you were lucky to go on the S&P 500, you could stay there for an average of 61 years. 2 generations. Enough time to give you to put in legacy systems, develop a robust business model. But since 2011, that has dropped to 18 years, and InnoSight predicts it to be 12 years by 2028. So the survival rate and the validity of a business model is getting less and less and less. Rumor has it we're edging towards 6 years, the longevity of a business model. So it means every 3 years you need to make a new plan. To put it in perspective, if you are a 35-year-old manager in a company, your company will probably not exist by the time that you turn 50. The skills that you develop today are almost going to be probably irrelevant by the time that you retire. If you look at the Fortune 500 companies, 52% of those companies have disappeared over the past 12 months. Not because they were weak, probably there were a few, but because they could not adapt to this new world. So let's look at the people running these businesses. Where are the CEOs spending their time? You would hope long-term strategy. Let's look at the disruption coming. But according to PwC's 2025 Global CEO Survey, CEOs spend 47% of their time on issues with a time horizon of less than 12 months. Only 16% is spent on long-term thinking, longer than 5 years. They're not choosing short-term thinking. The fires are too frequent. How do you think long-term when the building is consistently on fire? So let's look at the human element. What about the employees? How much weight are we placing upon them? According to Gartner in 2016, a typical employee experienced 2 planned transformations per year. That would mean new IT system, KPI framework, the like. Manageable, 2 per year. Since then it has quintupled. Very fun word to pronounce, quintupled. In other words, 10 times. Each employee now goes through 10 planned transformations per year. 10. That's almost 1 a month. That's not counting the unplanned ones. 5 years ago, 74% of your staff, if you said, we're going to put in a new system, they said, Pashash, I'm with you. I support you. We can make that happen. But according to Gartner, in 2022, that has dropped down to 38%, and it's still plummeting. So the support that you need within your company to make all of these changes happening is dwindling. People aren't resisting change because they're lazy. They're resisting change because they're merely drowning in it. Now let me paint the picture of your workforce. According to Gallup's State of Global Workplace report, 62% of employees are disconnected, quietly quitting. And they're not engaged. They're not leaving the company, they're staying. They come to work and they function. I wouldn't say it's productive work. Don't ask them to work late, don't ask them to come in early, and definitely don't surprise them with an impromptu meeting. On top of that, another 15 to 17% are actively disengaged. What that means is it's a very fancy word for saying, I don't want to play along anymore. they're working against your company. Not because they're nefarious or unethical, they're angry and this feels like justice to them. Now, if you look at the regional data for sub-Saharan Africa, according to Gallup, it's even worse. 19% of employees are engaged, while 72% are struggling and 10% are suffering. This is not a productivity crisis, ladies and gents. This is a human crisis. Gallup estimates that the global cost is about 438 billion in lost productivity. To put it into terms that you can understand, that is the size of the South African GDP. That's what the world is losing annually. But let's bring things a little bit home. How's that? In 2025, according to official data, South Africa recorded over 1,500 business liquidations. 87% were voluntary, initiated by the owners. So many of you might be thinking, but Willem, it's just restructuring, and I believe you're right in that statement. But company liquidations, court order closures due to insolvency rose by 5.5%. The previous year it was 7.5. It grew by 5.5%. That's almost double. That's not a strategy. Those are businesses falling out of the economy. The ground that we are standing on is on fire. And you have a choice. You can either be like a dinosaur staring at this incoming meteorite that's about to hit us and go like, yeah, I'm sure I can handle this puppy, hopefully. Or you can be like a surfer that serves this wave of change and disruption and use it to your benefit. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being the dinosaur. I mean, you're big, you're powerful, you rule. I mean, you've ruled for millions of years. You're just too big to fail. And then nature goes like, well, hold my coffee. And then one event and you're wiped out, you're extinct. While if you look at the surfer, they don't complain, oh, I wish the wave is not there, or can we have less wave? They actually invite it. They use the wave to their benefit. They leverage it for themselves. They learn to use it and navigate it. So let's explore what waves you have to navigate going forward as business owners, but also employees within a company. According to PwC's 2025 CEO survey, 71% of CEOs are investing heavily in AI. 69% are committing one-fifth of their budget to artificial intelligence. Yet only 12% report cost reduction and revenue growth as a result of that investment. 12%. 56% haven't really seen any return. So what's the difference between the 12% who really won and the 88% who didn't get anything that they hoped for? According to PwC's analysis, these guys weren't just experimenting like most of us do. Let's throw some AI at this and let's see what sticks. They were really integrating it. Robust frameworks, robust systems, and people who are prepared. According to KPMG's 2025 Global CEO Outlook, a strong majority, 77%, recognize that workforce AI readiness will determine their organization's prosperity over the next 3 years. The answer lies in your people. Now, many of you might think, oh, let's just teach everybody some AI tool. That sounds fair. If I give you each a hammer, you're not going to become a master craftsman. The tool is one thing. Preparing the human being is another thing, because it's a partnership between technology and humans. So let's see how we get there. Now, Ranjay Gulati and some friends at Harvard Business School did some research, and I found in a typical downturn, 70% of businesses go bankrupt. That's fine. It's okay. Businesses should fail. The market might come to an end. It's normal. But look at the end. 10% of those businesses thrive. They come out stronger, higher profit, higher employee engagement, higher revenues, higher customer engagement. They use a crisis as their fuel instead of going down. So what do they know that the other 90% don't? I mean, that's 1 in 10 businesses. I think I do know. They also started, just like I did, asking a different question. Instead of asking, when will things go back to normal, they started asking, given this reality, what can we build today? And that's the difference, ladies and gents. The 10% that thrive aren't waiting for certainty. They navigate without it. But let's look at Africa. Let's keep things home. So we live in Africa. So I mean, this is the continent of uncertainty and disruption. I mean, Tuesday it's coup time, Wednesday it's economic collapse in some other country. I mean, we're geared for this, wouldn't you agree? We are the best. But there's a paradox. According to PwC's 2025 CEO survey, African CEOs are way more confident than their global peers. 47% of them are confident of having revenue growth over the next 12 months, compared to global 30%. That is a massive difference. 81% expect domestic economic improvements. They also report much higher confidence in their ability to spot incoming disruption and how to effectively deal with it. You'd think, great, Africa is sorted. For once, Africa will rise. But here's the twist. Despite their bullish outlook, 59% of them indicated little or no change to their investment. So the plan is what we did last year, we'll do this year, and probably the year going forward. Only 13% has some type of appetite for high-risk innovation projects. African business leaders are confident they can weather the storm. Well done, they can do that. But that same confidence is what's holding them back. It prevents them from making the big strategic moves that will ensure long-term survivability. They're brilliant at surviving. But survival isn't transformation. Survival is not adaptive leadership in action. And then there lies another little problem. You've seen some industries going down, some companies, maybe some of you work in a company that's going down, or maybe it's your own company. You face added stress. When you're in a downturn already, I think you have about an 11% of coming out of that. 11% chance. Because why? You're cash strapped. You don't have money to adapt. Number two, all the talent that you need to turn the ship around are avoiding you like a plague. Like an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, you're like, I don't want that. I've had that before. Because why would somebody work in a declining business or industry? So you're going to have problems with that. You probably struggle with structural rigidity. Your systems are built for efficiency, not experimentation. And just like the big dinosaur, you might have some emotional attachment to your past successes. I mean, we've ruled what can go wrong. Yeah. How many have seen that happen in a movie? And then lastly, you will struggle to get the money from investors and the board to turn things around, because they're going to tell you to tighten your belt. Their idea is you're going to diet yourself through this. And you know that's not going to work. So what's the answer? How do you become one of the 10% who adapt? Very simple. You stop relying on maps. The days of maps are gone. The old business thinking, the 1-year plan, the 3-year strategy, the 5-year roadmap, remember those things, are fast becoming irrelevant. Why? Because that's old planning built on map thinking. Maps are created on the assumption that the environment will remain the same. but the terrain isn't stable. It's shifting. It's like shifting sands in a windy desert. It's almost like trying to map the waves of the sea. It changes every day, every hour, every minute, every second. I know that's an oversimplification, but it is speeding up, ladies and gents. So think about a large map. Think about your world and that map, your ability to see into the future and what's coming. That ability is getting less and less and less. How many of you have noticed it's getting difficult to see 3 years ahead? And soon it's 2 years, and it's just less and less. And that's the world that we're coming into. Who remembers the old strategy games where you had to discover the map as you go? And that is the future that we face today. That's why you don't need a map anymore. You need a compass. Because if you ask the dinosaur, hey, but how did that map work for you? You know how it ended for them. So what does this compass look like? And what can it do for you? But before I get there, I want to share with you a little bit of information that I discovered in 2014. In 2014, when I completed my dissertation for my master's degree, I focused on the application of innovation methods within existing businesses. And I made a shocking realization. You can't innovate a business. A business is a container, like a glass. It's the people within the business that make the business. So the question is whether the glass is innovative. The question is, are the people within your business innovative? If your people in your business are rigid, fearful, and stuck, your business is going to be fearful, rigid, and stuck. If the people in your business adapt, learn, and see opportunity in chaos, your company will adapt, learn, and see opportunity in chaos. Yet, I found every year we spend millions restructuring the glass. New strategy, new look, just look how sexy that looks. But they ignore the liquid. Adaptive leadership in action is about changing the viscosity within your people so that they can shape into whatever the market and the business demands at that moment in time. So the real issue is not fixing the business, it's developing the people. As I said earlier, 77% of CEOs recognize that workforce AI readiness is what will guarantee their financial survivability and growth over the next 3 years. You need people who are resilient, resourceful, and adaptable. So how do you prepare people to become resourceful, resilient, and adaptable? Very simple. Entrepreneurial thinking. Now, when I say that, I bet a few of you tuned out already. Go like, nah, Willem, that's not me. Entrepreneurial thinking, that's for startups. That's not for staff. That should be for the founder, the owner of the business. That's not for us mere mortals. But you're missing something big. Entrepreneurial thinking is not necessarily about starting a company. It's about responding to change. It is the thinking process that an entrepreneur uses to adapt to market and customer needs shifts. And that same thinking that an entrepreneur used to adapt is available and accessible to a student, a parent, an employee, a manager, a team, and a CEO. It's a life skill that anyone can learn and master. It's not necessarily a business skill. It's the ability to act intelligently without clarity. It's the ability to move forward and make decisions when the playbook no longer exists, when clarity doesn't exist, when certainty never arrives. It's a skill that you and everybody in your business can develop. And it's really a simple process, and it's one of the many tools that we use in this work within organizations that I do in schools, universities, and businesses to turn into adaptive people. I use something called the Entrepreneurial Thinking Compass. This is one of the many tools that I use to empower you, your staff, your teams, and your organization to have greater success in uncertainty and change. It helps navigate when you don't know where to go next. I see it almost as a heartbeat, and I will explain later. Every time you move through it to solve a problem, uncover new opportunities, or find a better way to work, you keep something alive. So the compass has 5 core principles. North, you have flow forward. What's the next smallest step I can take? From a Taoistic principle, how can I be like water? Have you noticed water always finds a way? But how many of us are blocked? How many team members come to you? I don't know, I'm still waiting, we can't do that, that doesn't exist, we need this. On the east side, shift perspective. What needs to change? What needs to stay the same? And that works on an emotional, cognitive, and physical level. On the south side, dealing with emotions. Trees bend in strong wind, but over time, they become stronger and they can face stronger storms. On the west side is assess your resources. How many of you have ever seen a child sit with a box of Lego blocks and then they turn to the adult and go like, "Excuse me, sir, do you have the instructions?" If a child says that to you, you're going to turn to the parent and say, "I think your kid's broken." Children always find a way, and this work is about awakening the inner Lego playing child within your staff, your teams, and your organization. And then lastly, it's your return to agency. Every cycle, your ability to act grows, your confidence grows, and you develop momentum, and you develop your adaptability fitness. Adapting is a continuous process. It's a cycle, it's a rhythm, it's a heartbeat. This is important because I don't know how many of you have been in a situation where the CEO woke up one morning and like, "We need to change things. We need to innovate today." Product teams, just saying that, okay? And then suddenly we go into this innovation thing. Let me explain it to you in a human perspective. You haven't brushed your teeth in 2 years, and now you go for the next 2 weeks, twice a day, 10 minutes a time, "I'm going to brush my teeth and I'm going to have dental health." You know it's not going to work. Business health, like dental health, is a daily process. And this process is a rhythm. It's a heartbeat. It's the living heartbeat of a healthy company navigating an uncertain world. And the heartbeat operates at 3 levels. On an individual level, you use it throughout your day to solve problems, to find new opportunities, to discover new ways of working. From an AI perspective, it's not, "Hey, Kobus, here's ChatGPT, use it, go." Bad idea. At this level, AI is a tool helping with research, but also a thinking partner. It's there to help you think and analyze and give you fresh perspectives on how you can do your work. And what happens when people start doing this? They stop feeling paralyzed by complexity. Instead of going like, "I don't know where to start," they ask themselves, "What's the next move?" They stop waiting for everything to be perfectly into place. Instead of escalating, I don't know how many of you are in management, but that continuous escalation, you're like, "Damn, Sandra, how many times are you going to escalate something today?" They become more resilient. How many of you can benefit from resilience within your organization? How would your organization look like then? When some things go wrong, they don't collapse, they bounce back, they learn, they adjust, they try again. And this is not theory. This is how people operate when they've internalized entrepreneurial thinking. They don't freeze, they flow, which is important. On a team level, the heartbeat becomes shared. The team uses the compass together. When faced with problems, instead of looking at an outside cause, they ask themselves, "How might we deal with this?" When they've discovered an opportunity, how might we leverage this? Or they use the whole process how might we improve what we're currently doing? On an AI level, it looks as follows. AI serves as an extra team member, brainstorming with the staff, with the team, while every staff member has their own thinking partner as well. It's also a pair of hands to handle repetitive tasks and do data collection. And the great thing about once you apply this, your silos dissolve because now you have a common language and thinking throughout the organizations. How many of you have been to some fancy team building or training and you come back with a new language, you're like, wow, I'm going to change the world. And then 3 days later, what was that middle part again? Because the language in the organization didn't change, you changed, and then environment is stronger than will. And that's why it didn't last. Fewer problems are escalated upwards. This reduces your management overhead. And also it makes innovation part of the DNA of your business. Decision making accelerates. That's one of the best things. Imagine you could accelerate decision making by 15% in your business. Where could you be in 12 months from now? And lastly, everyone is aligned. Instead of each team member trying to go separate places, you think as one. On an organizational level, the company uses it to revisit their assumptions, strategy, business model. It uses the compass not necessarily as a map, but a navigation tool, a sensing tool, a sense-making tool. Because maps assume stability, and one thing I know about the world, stability is going to become a very scarce commodity. But I want to divert a little bit there. Because I've been talking a lot about adaptability. And you also have to understand there is a danger in that. Because if I get you to just adapt the whole time, you're never going to create consistency and stability in certain areas in your business, and you won't have the benefit of systems, the efficiency of systems, and ways to optimize your business. If I ask you to become stable as much as possible, now you become rigid, like old dead wood, and you're going to break and you're going to die in the market. It's about navigating the polarities. This is not necessarily a problem to solve. It's a problem to manage. And that's the important thing. Let's go back. We were at there. So what happens within your organization when you do this? Accelerates execution naturally. Wouldn't that be nicer? Instead of having a jog, you can go into a run with your business. What would that mean for you? Cross-functional collaboration, much better. Improves without forcing it. And lastly, your organization becomes anti-fragile. When things start changing, you don't collapse, you adapt, you experiment, you learn faster than your competitors, and you come out stronger. This is what adaptive leadership in action looks like at scale. It's almost like an athlete running across different terrain. You're always making a step change. Sometimes you run, sometimes you jog, sometimes you walk, and your heart rate changes with the changing terrain. And the same happens when you apply adaptive leadership within your organization. It's like an adaptability heartbeat. Sometimes it goes faster, slower, but you're not going to have that flat line. I know everybody's looking for that flat line of stability. It's the same flat line they used to indicate death in a hospital. So be careful of stability. Now, some of you might think, but Willem, we've already spent a lot of money on training. I mean, we just spent a fortune on leadership development, on communication skills, on innovation workshops. And yes, you're right, you probably did. And I'm not going to tell you, oh, you're wrong or anything. No, I just want to give you a different perspective. Imagine yourself as a chef. And I take leadership development, I put it in the pot. And I take some new innovation frameworks. Yeah, let's put that in. Let's put some time management. Put that in. Oh, AI readiness, definitely, right. And then at the end of the day, you sit with a fish pie with chocolate sauce and a side of waffles. the most expensive ingredients that not necessarily work together. Because what a lot of people try to do in preparation, they look at the reports and everything, we must put this into place, put this into place. And I see that in the startup industry. Trying to teach people everything about a business and go like, go. And they go like, I don't know, this is scary. The nice thing about adaptive leadership and action and applying entrepreneurial thinking, you awaken that self-guided learning within people. They will come to you and say, well, we need this, we need that. And all the training that you've given them, now they know where it fits in. It's not another ingredient, it's the digestive system that helps people apply everything that they've learned up to then. That's the beauty of it. And it doesn't require you to stop your business. You don't have to get the consultants in for 6 months to stop the business. I don't know how many of you have been through a horrible exercise like that, but it happens. You can apply this work immediately in their work today, in the decisions that they're making, in the meetings that they have. Sounds fancy, doesn't it? Impressive. But please don't take my word for it. According to the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report and 10 skills employees need for the future of work, entrepreneurial thinking covers 7 of those 10. Not through 7 different learning modules, not through years of development programs, through one way of thinking and acting. Through a single way of thinking, entrepreneurial thinking develops 7 of the 10 needed skills. This is not a nice to have. This is the operating system for the future of work. So that's why we need to get people to start thinking like entrepreneurs. That's why you need to bring it right through the organization. It's not to start a business. It's to make people resilient, resourceful, and adaptable. Now, I've given you a lot of statistics, probably scared a few of you. Some of you are reviewing your CV now, kind of like, not nice. Or you're rethinking your business. Anybody who's worked with me would know I'm a very practical guy. So I want you to start this process today in your life, in your own business, or in the business that you work in. Is that fine? How would that go? Nice. So it's going to be a practical exercise that I want you to go and do afterwards. Maybe some of you have done this before, but bear with me. It's a fun exercise. It's called the red team exercise. Who's heard of this before? Such an exercise. So usually around cybersecurity teams. So the cybersecurity team has the red team, and their job is to attack our own company. They attack our security systems to look for holes and things that don't work. And I want you to become the red team in your own career, in your own business, in the business that you're working in. I want you to attack your business. You need to become your most hungry competitor. So number 1, make a choice to become the competitor. And don't view it from the limits that you currently have. As the competitor, I have money, you have resources, you have no holding on to your current business model, and your only thing is, I want to take market share from you. And then second, you start attacking your own business. How will you attack it? On a business model. What about on price? Undercut you and take you on volumes. Or maybe product features. Features that you charge for, I'm going to start giving away for free tomorrow. How will that impact you? Or maybe a market segment. How many of you don't really want to do business in a certain market or anything, and you have an emotional charge? Let's deal with that, because your competitor has no issue. And I'm not talking about ethics, ladies and gentlemen. What about distribution? Reach your own customers faster and cheaper. Or what about customer experience? I don't know how friendly you are on the phone. Maybe you're not. Question that. This is a difficult exercise because you need to really look into yourself and the business and the weaknesses. If you need me to help you facilitate something, call me, make an appointment, we can book such a session. But the important thing is to have management and staff in this. Management has a very far away distance from actual customers. And when people, you bring staff into it, they can give you perspectives that you never thought existed before. Get everybody to attack the business. Because then you learn. It forces you to think like someone who wants to disrupt you. Instead of waiting for it to come, for that latter proper club to come, go and look for the club, but don't take it. This is entrepreneurial thinking. This is the start of adaptive leadership and action and the processes that I run with companies. It's about having these difficult conversations, preparing your people so that they're right and ready for what's to come. So as I said in the beginning, I do not have the answers. And I don't think the answers are going to come very easily going forward. But there is a way to navigate this uncertainty with greater success, calm, and agency. And it's adaptive leadership and entrepreneurial thinking. It's the ability for your people to become resilient, resourceful, and adaptable. It's great that you have a product team and an innovation team, but what if you could make innovation part of the DNA of your business? You don't need another strategy. You don't need people who can, you just need people who can think differently. Remember the statistics, 1 in 10 companies thrive. Do you want to be one of the 10 or one of the 9 who don't make it necessarily? If you want to do this work with me, on the last slide, I'll have my contact details, reach out. There's also going to be a QR code. Please scan it and give me feedback about this. I'd greatly appreciate that. And you can also leave your details there if you want to explore working with me. But I'm going to leave you with one last question. Are you going to be the dinosaur that looks at the incoming meteorite about to change something drastically? Or are you going to be like the surfer and surf this wave of change and disruption to your benefit? Thank you.